Hey guys, so I'm not going to interview anybody today. I just want to, talk about, something that things I think about a lot. And one thing I think a lot about work. And I kind of think it's kind of insane how people think about work. My theory is you should think about, work, career, your job like you do marriage. You're going to spend a lot of time with this job or person. Therefore, it's not, very light decision to make. You have to put a lot of thought into it. You got to try and meet a lot of different people before you settle down with someone, when it comes to, dating and marriage. And I think about, I was like, why don't we think about like that when we think about, your job or your career? My thoughts is basically this. I mean, you're probably going to spend, 10 to 12 hours, 5 days a week for, the next 40 years of your life. And if it's not something that you enjoy or you love or you're passionate about it, by definition, the majority of your life it's going to suck. And I just find it crazy that a lot of people just kind of, accept this. And, I don't. It's like, well, I only have one life. I'm going to make sure, I optimize it to be, as happy as possible. So therefore, whatever I choose to do, I'm going to have to be happy with it, or the majority of my life is going to suck. It's going to spill over into my personal life, and all that stuff's going to, suck the life out of that as well. So here's my kind of thoughts about how we go about, picking your career or your profession in society. So basically, you go to college, you take general education classes that, give you a well-rounded education. So, you can speak on, multiple topics. And yeah, maybe you worked, at the mall, or you were a server or something like that. And then they say, hey, you need to pick a major. You need to, pick something, and oh, by the way, the financial commitment that you're going to make is anywhere from, $10,000 if you go to San Jose State to I don't know, $200,000 if you go to Stanford or something like that. And you're like a 20-year-old kid who's maybe had some part-time jobs, and they're like, all right, you got to fucking make this decision now. And you're like, I don't know what the fuck, I'm going to do. I've never done anything before besides, fold clothes or serve food. But they were like, but then, you just kind of sit there and you're like, I'm good with numbers, so I'll do accounting, or, I like, reading and writing, so I'm going to take major in English or something. And then you gotta, put down this huge down payment, and, you just kind of, start it, and you figure out, you don't really like it, but you're like, I've been doing this for a year, I'm always going to graduate, and I paid all this money, it's going to be really expensive and take a lot of time to change now, so I'll just, stick with that. And then, and then when you graduate, you're like, well, I don't really know about this, career path, but, I went to school for it, so I'll try it out. And then, and then, you do it for a little while. It's kind of interesting and new. And, if you're an accountant, you go into, accounting or banking or finance or whatever. And then, after the newness wears off, then, it just kind of becomes really kind of mundane. You just kind of feel like a drone. And then you go to start questioning, is there more to life? But then you're like, oh, well, no, I've been doing this for a couple years now. I'm getting promotions, I'm making a name for myself. And, I'm also, planning to, get married soon. So, I need the money to pay for the, the huge wedding, so I can make, that cute wedding video that looks like everybody else's. And then, I don't want to, pay rent anymore, so I'm going to put down, another $1 million for a house. And then what happens is you're a slave to this job now, because you're have $10,000 a month in cash flow going out to finance all these things you don't really need. And then, you have, kids and stuff, and then, and then you basically just have no choice. Your risk tolerance goes down. You can't quit, because then, you know, that would like kind of sink, you know, your life and your family's life. And you know, and I'm aware that, you know, once, you know, you have a family, like, you know, the focus becomes on them and providing for them. But, you know, I just feel that, you know, if you're happy, you're going to be more productive. So then I'm like, you know what, before we get to that point, why don't we look at, you know, choosing your job like dating, right? It's like, you know, you don't have to marry your, you know, high school, you know, sweetheart or whatever. You don't have to marry, you know, the person that you met in college. Just like, you know, you don't have to have a career with the, you know, whatever you studied in college. You know, you don't think like, oh, you know, I've been there for, you know, dating for a couple years, so, you know,